Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Today is Thursday, believe it or not, the second day of July, and it's National Aniste Day. Anistette. I don't know what that is. But you know what I'll do? I'll find out.
Anestet?
Yeah.
Anestet? Like
I
anesthesiologist?
I don't know. I will find out. I get our stuff from the National Days calendar, and I'm going to be talking to the founder of that. He sent me a message, and it was not even a message saying, quit getting stuff off my calendar. He said, hey, I think it's really cool that you get stuff off my calendar. We should chat sometime. So we're going to do that. Okay, this is a day to learn about prohibition. So Anistet Day is a day we observe. It's when anise, the herb that gives us licorice and fennel flavor, it's a dry liqueur that distillers used as well. So it's like the stuff that anise, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. It's that same stuff.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Now we know.
Alrighty, now we know.
Probably not going to celebrate, but if I was going to, that's what I would do. It is also a Thursday, so we have a Dear John letter coming your way. Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. New study found that 35% of Americans don't know their blood type. Heidi, do you know your blood type?
I do not.
And we had this discussion. We both think we know, but we don't know for sure. Because I think
Right.
mine is A+, but I might be wrong. I think they call it A positive. You know what I mean?
Right.
75% of respondents admitted that they did not know there were even four blood types. So they didn't even know that. So I know I'm A. So...
Right.
A, B, O. What's the other one?
I don't know what the other one is. A, B, and O.
Q.
I don't know. I think I'm O negative. I think is what I am, but I'm not 100%.
But you're not positive?
I'm not positive.
We're going to have to find out. Thanks for listening to Surveys and Studies and Such, brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com.
This is Your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by Time4Rehab.com. Just thinking about this story makes me kind of cringe. So painful. A 40-year-old man in China suffered 3 bladder tears, like his bladder exploded.
Okay.
After drinking 10 beers and then holding everything in for 18 hours.
Oh.
So the man, referred to only as Mr. Hu, H-U, consumed 10 beers during a night on the town. Then he came home and, crashed. He fell asleep, inebriated.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I don't think he meant to. I think he just passed out. Somehow he didn't wake up to urinate after drinking 10 beers. And when he did finally wake up, a total of 18 hours, doctors later explained that this could be tied to the alcohol's capacity to suppress the nervous system. Anyway, he said he just didn't feel the sensation.
You would think, being that inebriated that he didn't wake up to know he had to go to the bathroom, that he
would have just happened on his own.
Right,
yeah, I don't know.
Right.
He woke up with sharp abdominal pain, went to the ER. He was diagnosed with bladder tears. They warned him. This is a very extremely rare case. They said, but you know what? It could happen to anyone. So don't drink 10 beers and pass out.
Ouch.
That's my advice to you. That's also what happens when your brain is on drugs. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. In a sequel to hit Netflix, they're going to be making a sequel to the movie Chicken Run. I think we mentioned that part.
We did. We talked about that.
I did not realize it was going to hit Netflix, but that's where it's going, and it's going to be marking the 20th anniversary of the original release. In the press release, this is something I did not talk about when we mentioned it the other day. They point out that Chicken Run is the highest-grossing stop-motion animation film of all time.
Well, that's a pretty narrow field, isn't it? I mean, how many of them are there?
Oh,
I can't
don't
even
know.
think of another one, honestly. Can you?
Gumby stop motion? I think that was. Production of the new Chicken Run is supposed to start in the fall. And Lisa Kudrow and Jennifer Aniston have revealed that you can expect to start seeing a Friends reunion real soon because they're going to start shooting as soon as the lockdown is lifted in August. The reunion will take place in the modern era. So I'm not exactly sure what the plot is going to be, but it should be a barrel of fun. So there you go. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now your scoop of the day. It comes your way courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. 2021 summer vacation planning period began earlier than ever with many people who are planning bigger trips for next year because summer 2020 kind of got pushed back. So, and several people who had reservations for things this year that got moved into next year. So there's a travel company that says 89% of their clients with trips canceled this year rebooked for the very same time next year.
Right.
So they're saying we are seeing oversold rooms, like they ran out of rooms already, and they've completely booked cruises and things that are completely full for next year.
Right.
Yet there's a lot of these places that are going, boy, I hope we're going to be around next year.
Right.
Because, they're struggling this year. So it'll be interesting to see how all that shakes out. A growing number. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to just throw this in here right now. We're still planning on going to Mexico.
Oh, we're going
in October.
Yeah.
So we're going to find a way. If I have to thumb it down there, the big 80s in the Sand event, and so far that's still on. I should be knocking on wood or something. I don't know, but I've had several people ask me if that's still going on.
It's still on,
as far as I know, and I'm going to do everything I can to hopefully make it. A number of airlines are banning passengers who refuse to wear masks on flights, and I can understand that, and I'm not one who says, I think everybody needs to wear a mask everywhere, but I can also say, you're sitting on an airplane that doesn't belong to you. You're a guest on their airplane. I understand you bought the ticket, but be a polite guest. If that's what their rules are, then follow their rules. It's really, really that simple. Microsoft is closing most of their physical stores after a nationwide unrest from the coronavirus and protests. They just said, you know what? We don't really need all these stores. Let's just close them. We'll sell everything online.
There's a lot of jobs.
And think about how many other
Breaks my
companies
heart.
are going to follow suit and do the same kind of thing where they're just going, we're just not going to do that anymore. We're going to save a lot of money on rent all over the country and save a lot of money on hiring people all over the country. And we'll have some people who will work from home. We'll have some people in factories. But boy, is that the future we were planning on? It doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. The Treasury Department in the United States announced that 1.5 million people filed for unemployment last week. So is that a smaller number than what it has been?
I don't know.
I haven't really been. I think that's a smaller number than what it has been in the past. So I've got a link to the story, and I'm looking here. I don't have time to read it, but I have it in the show notes if you would like to read the entire details on that. The NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, is investigating a touch screen defect that caused 63,000 Tesla Model S cars to lose control of their media centers. So there was a touch screen defect that could have been really bad. Thank goodness it sounds like it was just kind of bad, but it could have been really bad. So they're checking into this to say, hey, maybe this autonomous car thing isn't such a great idea.
It terrifies me. I think
scares
it's a
me too.
horrible idea.
Well, we're just not ready for it. That's all. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Heck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
And it's time right now for Dear John Letters.
Dear John, dear John.
We got a letter here that I bet there's probably some people who can relate to this. If you've got noisy neighbors, listen up. Here we go. Dear John, my neighbors are usually great neighbors, but lately they've been not so great. We've lived next door to one another for about 10 years. I've watched your children as they've grown up. We've always gotten along. Over the last few months, though, they've been home much more than normal, and their kids are all home again as well. They've been making a lot of noise outside until after 1 a.m.
Oh.
We used to sleep with our windows open, but that's not even possible right now. Even with the windows closed and the sound of a fan blowing, I can still hear them laughing and talking until the wee hours of the night. I'm the only neighbor this close, so if I called the police, they would know it was me, but I don't think that's needed. But I want to talk to them about it. My husband gets up at 4 a.m. for work. He says I should just let them visit. He says he's okay with the fan. I know he's not. He's not getting much sleep. Should I chat with my neighbors? I know they listen to your show. Maybe they'll hear it and take the hint. Any advice? Signed, not loving the noisy neighbor. Well, I love how you're doing that. You're thinking that we're going to solve this problem. You don't even have to get involved. Here's what I would do. If it's up until 1 a.m., I would be really polite about it. But I would just say, hey, you guys know my husband works at 4 a.m. If you could kind of keep it down a little bit.
Right.
I don't think anybody would be offended by that.
No, I don't think so either.
So, and if you're listening, noisy neighbor, could you keep it down a little? That would be really
just
nice.
Be respectful. Nobody's saying you can't have a good time and you can't. But at a certain time,
yeah,
maybe 10, 11 is when you kind of tone it way down and then move the conversation into your garage or into your house.
Exactly.
So you're not bothering everybody.
And I can relate to this, but sadly, I think maybe we're on the offending side of this because our son comes over and chats with us in the evening sometimes, and there'll be times
I wouldn't say we're super loud.
I don't think so either, but there are times, we're laughing. He's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy.
He's single, too. Did I mention that?
He is single.
So he's going to be very upset that I said that. But no, I could see where that could, if somebody had their windows open, they were trying to sleep at night, that could be a bad deal. So I think maybe just, again, simply having conversation. You don't have to get huffy, and it doesn't sound like she would get huffy. And her husband's saying it's not a big deal. He's okay with it, but she understands he's not getting enough sleep. So you ever have anything like that keeps you awake at night?
I'm just awake at night because I'm always too hot. So
one of the things that I remember, we had moved to a home that was on a busy street, and we first moved there. You remember how hard it was to get used to that?
It didn't bother me.
It bothered me. Like I'd hear cars going by all night long. And then when we moved away, I woke up at night all the time because it was too quiet. I'm like, wow, it's just too quiet here. So it's one of those things you get used to. So maybe your husband's used to it now, and then when they quit talking at night, he'll have trouble getting to sleep. I don't know. If you would like to chime in, you can do so on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. I've got a link to this noisy neighbor note there. And you can also use that same page to chime in with your question for next week. And we had a fireworks question last week, and I thought for sure we'd have more of those. But apparently we did such a good job answering that, Heidi, we've had no more fireworks questions,
nice.
Which is nice. So if you've got a fun question, make it fun, something fun. You can chime in at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Thank you for listening to Dear John Letters. Many people have dabbled in the stock market for their very first time ever this year. If you're new to the market, but you don't want to learn things the hard way and the expensive way, I encourage you to subscribe to this free newsletter. You can get the inside track with Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com. Subscribe for free. If you change your mind, just unsubscribe. Sign up for free right now at marketbeatminute.com. That's marketbeatminute.com. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There's a Scottish term for hesitating when introducing someone because you've forgotten their name.
Oh.
Have you ever done that? This is, Skippy.
All the time.
Says we've all been there. You run into somebody, you go to introduce them to whoever you're with, and you can't remember their first name. Well, there's a Scottish term for this awkward hesitation. So if you, unfortunately, ever find yourself in a situation, you can just say, I'm so sorry, pardon my tartle. T-A-T.
Tartle.
T-A-R-T-L-E, tartle.
I do this all the time.
We used to have a really good system because if I didn't know somebody and I knew that they knew me, I would say to Heidi, oh, this is my wife, Heidi. And then your job was to say,
what was your name?
No, I would say, this is my wife. And then you would say, I'm Heidi. What was your name?
Yep.
And then we did that one time in my hometown, and I did exactly what I was supposed to do. And Heidi said, oh, hey, John, who is this?
Because you had irritated me just prior to that
then I had to
happening,
say,
so I threw you under the bus.
Oh, no. And then I found out it was my cousin. I was like, oh, yeah, good to see you. Thanks for listening to today's Fun Fact.
Some credit cards have really high rates or big annual fees. Usually, people sign up for these when it's all they qualify for. If that sounds like you, it may be time to get a better credit card. Over time, your situation changes, and you may qualify for a better credit card. Your current card hopes you don't think about it, but our site shows you many options to see if there's a better credit card for you. Check it out for free at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
Now, a news headline from somewhere in this world, Dateline Russia. This is going to be an interesting story. Rare pictures of Vladimir Putin's daughters were released on the internet by his former right-hand man. Putin has denied they were his daughters in the past. So, in the past, when these photos have appeared on the internet, he's like, those aren't my daughters. This guy posted them. Now that he's his former right-hand man, he's like, no, these are his daughters.
Probably not a good idea. I have a feeling we'll be hearing that something horrible happened to him
His
in the
former
coming days.
right-hand man had a terrible accident and fell out a third-story window of a hospital.
Yikes.
We had 3 different doctors that fell out that window, so it's a pretty dangerous window. So there you go. Some news from somewhere in this world.
We're here to make it better.
If you find that drug or alcohol problems are hitting you too close to home, you can get help. Maybe it's time for rehab. Your insurance may even cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. Get help for a drug or alcohol problem within 24 hours.
We're here to make it better.
Get more information at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Time now for a little bit of weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. A New Jersey man was arrested after he was found sleeping in the Penn Street bowling alley. 23-year-old Kevin Correa, charged with felony burglary and criminal mischief. When police found him, they found a 2004 Peterbilt tractor-trailer cab in the parking lot. It had been damaged by a bowling ball. Officers found the doors to the bowling alley had been forced open, and they saw damage inside as well. Correa was brought to the headquarters, where it was determined that he had been involved in a burglary of another business sometime between June 21st and 22nd. He was charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor criminal trespass. Under the state bail reform guidelines, he was released from custody on an appearance ticket pending a future court appearance. So they basically, the way it's set up there is like you break the law, you come in, they say, don't do that anymore. You're going to have court later. Now you can go do that again. Right. And then it just keeps happening. So this is the second time.
So frustrating.
I think it's a terrible idea, but I guess that's the way they do it. I've got a link to the story if you want to read all about it. It's in the show notes for today at JohnandHeidiShow.com.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh, brought to you by InsuranceChicken.com. An Oklahoma man was arrested after threatening to blow up a gas station. Police responded to a gas station at 9:30 p.m. last Tuesday. 25-year-old Justice Cobb was sitting on the curb of the gas station with his hand in a bag, and he said he had C4 explosives in it.
Oh, my.
He said, if you get too close, I'm going to blow up this whole place. He said he was there to bomb the place because of all the injustice going on in the world, and he was doing this for Black Lives Matter. Police say that...
and that place was to blame somehow.
I'm not sure. He requested a bottle of water and some cigarettes and a lighter from inside the store. Police complied and threw a few of the items just short of his feet. When he made his way to pick it up, they were able to move in from behind and restrain him. So... turns out he did not blow up the store.
What was in the bag? Does it say?
It doesn't say.
Oh.
His hand was in there, but I think that was all. What a weird story. What a weird thing to do. I'm going to blow this place up unless you give me cigarettes, some water, and a lighter.
Right?
You could have at least asked for a burrito while they were at it or something. I don't know. Just seems like you missed out on an opportunity. This is today's Moment of Duh.
Do you pay too much for insurance? Have you looked around? Or are you too chicken? Don't be afraid to look around to see if you can find a better deal at InsuranceChicken.com. We make it super simple for you to see rates from several different companies, to see what they have to offer, all in one place. Peck out great insurance deals at InsuranceChicken.com. Is it time for you to cross the road? See if we can save you money each month at InsuranceChicken.com. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
Time now for fake news or Florida. Heidi, tell me, is this a true story or is it fake news made up to trick you and amuse me? So I forgot the first part. Is it a true story from the great state of Florida?
Okay.
But I think you know that by now.
I know that.
How long have we been doing this? It's been a while.
A long time. Off
Yeah.
and on for a long time.
And your track record is like 98.7% of the time you get it right.
I don't think it's quite
Well,
that
tell me
high.
if you get this one right.
All
Fake
right.
news or Florida? 3 pizza delivery drivers miraculously were involved in a head-on collision at an apartment complex in Miami. Fake news or Florida?
Like they all hit each other?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Florida.
Oh, I tricked you. It's fake news, and I made this one up.
Ah, nicely done.
Thank you. You can high-five me later. This has been Fake News or Florida on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of BetterCreditCards.com. And here is the headline for today. Farmer plants 81 acres of wildflowers, and he feeds more than 1 million bees.
Oh, wow.
This is really cool. A couple of farmers in Suffolk, England, have succeeded in feeding 1 million bees after participating in a project that saw them turn over half of their land into wildflowers. And I'm looking here. These things are beautiful. The flowers are. They really are. And I know some people look at it and see weeds, but boy, to me, they look beautiful. 4 years ago, these brothers, Mark and Paul Hayward, decided to fill 81 acres of their land with nectar-rich wildflowers.
That's awesome.
This week, the study was carried out monitoring insect activity on the plot, which they found were feeding about 1 million bees at any given time. It says this was our target when we started, to grow enough to feed 1 million bees on a single day. We're acutely aware that bees are under a threat from modern farming methods, that many of the world's worst offenders are bee foraging diversity. I don't know what that means exactly. Every third bite of food you eat can be attributed to pollinators, and we want to create an operation on our farm that did not push nature out, but rather embraced it as a central part of the ecosystem in our food cycle. So this farm they have other things too, but they said, hey, we're going to do this to make sure that we're feeding these bees because the bees help pollinate everything else.
Yes.
So it's really a cool story. I've got a
very
link
cool.
to it, and it keeps going on, and I wish I had time to read it all, but I don't. I already chopped up the beginning of it because I didn't pre-read this. Can you tell? Did I fool anyone? I didn't think so. But I do have the rest of the story in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Bye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.